Yo, what is going on guys? This is Black Eagle from Snake Beater, back with a brand new video. Today guys, I'm going to be going through the best tips to get wins with randoms on Season 3 on Apex Legends. If you guys do enjoy this video, make sure you hit the like button, comment down below any tips you reckon I've missed out or any tips that you have for any other audience. And make sure you subscribe with notifications on, that way you never miss a video. I've done one of these videos before in the past on I think it was Season 1, but this is a more up-to-date version. A lot of few things have changed, and yeah, we're just going to go straight into it. So yeah, let's get straight into the tips. So tip number 1, select a legend with escapes. The reason why you want to select a legend that has escapes, so people like Wraith, Pathfinder, Bangalore, I recommend those three. It's basically because 100% of the time, majority of the time, your teammates will end up bailing on you and they will end up leaving you, or they may end up going down and you might have to carry on the rest of the game by yourself on a solo. So you need to have a legend that has escapes, because if you do not have a legend that has escapes, and say for example your teammates leave you, then you will not be able to escape and you'll be stuck and then you'll die, and I guarantee they will not go back for your res box. So tip number 1, select a legend with escapes. Tip number 2, learn the call out wheel. So the call out wheel's got loads of different things on there. So it's got like watching enemies here, looting here, loads of different things. Beforehand I used to just say ping everything, ping weapons and whatnot, but I've actually found it's really useful to use the call out wheel, because if you think to yourself, right, I could just be shouting down the mic saying, oh, there's a person here, there's a person there, or I'm watching over here. But at the end of the day, I could be playing with somebody that's Spanish, I could be playing with somebody that's from Germany or Europe, anywhere. So you need to be thinking to yourself, right, I can use the call out wheel and it will pop up on their screen and they'll know what I'm saying. They might even hit, okay, yeah, I understand that you're looking that way, and they will use the call out wheel themselves. So tip number 2 is learn the call out wheel. Tip number 3, don't be afraid to try and lead. So when I say don't be afraid to try and lead, you don't want to just let them take control of the whole game. Just because you're with randoms, you don't want to just be the one that sits back and just lets them run the game. Ping where you want to go. Try and take a lead. Maybe walk off and see if they follow. If they follow, brilliant. If they don't, okay, maybe think about going back to them. But try and take the lead. Try and get across to your teammates you know what you're doing, because if you show to them you know what you're doing, they're more likely to follow you, and then you are all more likely to get the win. So tip number 3 is don't be afraid to try and lead. Tip number 4, have one close range and one long range weapon. The reason why I say this, and it's also a very massive tip in ranked, is because if you've got 2 short range weapons, you're going to be useless when it comes to a long range weapon battle. If you've got 2 long range weapons, you're going to be rubbish when it comes to close combat. It's really simple. You could basically pick up a lot of kills whether your teammates are going to follow you or not with a long range weapon, and then you do have that close range weapon when it does get close and personal. So it makes sense to have one of each. As you might be seeing in the footage that I have in the background right now, I do get a lot of kills with the charge rifle in Season 3. It is pretty much clinical that you have the charge rifle as your long range weapon, because you will pick up a lot of kills and you will deal a lot of damage. So yeah, but any of the long range weapons do work. It's really helpful because if your teammates aren't willing to get involved in a fight, you can at least try and deal some damage and maybe pick up and get a few kills. So tip number 4, have one close range and one long range weapon. Tip number 5, if your team leaves, back out unless you get any downs. So if you get a down, for example, and you've downed say one player of a team that you were fighting and your teammates have backed out, if you're confident and you know for a fact this Gibby and this, I don't know, Pathfinder is absolute trash, push it, because there's a good chance, because you're confident, you will end up beating that team without your teammates. You don't always necessarily have to have your teammates, but I would recommend a 3v1 situation. Okay, fair enough, maybe you should back out. But if you manage to, say for example, down somebody with the long range weapon that you are carrying, then you've got a very good chance of being able to take out the rest of the team. So tip number 5, if your team is if your team leaves, back out unless you get any downs. Tip number 6, share loot. and also try and get a loot key. But sharing loot's the main thing. Say for example your teammate pings that they need light ammo. Make sure you share light ammo with them. Don't be greedy, because at the end of the day you are a team and you do need to support each other. If your teammate needs shield cells, give them some shield cells. The same works vice versa. If you give them something, I guarantee when you ask for something they'll give it back. It's just a case of showing that you're a good teammate and you're willing to help them out when they need help. So yeah, and then also try and get a loot key. I mean, it's a no-brainer that one. If you can get a loot key, your teammates and yourself are going to get decent armor, decent attachments, and decent bags and whatnot. So it's pretty much a no-brainer that one. So try and get a loot key if you can. But yeah, make sure you share loot. So tip number 6, share loot. Tip number 7, try not to land hotspot. Now, you don't want to be landing for a hotspot, because end of the day, you go for a hot one. How do you think it's going to end with a team that you don't actually know how they play? You don't know whether they're good or not. You're basically playing a game of, well, you're gambling. You're gambling the game. So it makes sense for you to try and land somewhere that's not hot. That way you have a good chance to get some loot. Maybe like land somewhere where there's only one team. So that way you can still get a vibe of how good your teammates are. But you can also still get good loot. So tip number 7 is try not to land on a hot spot. Tip number 8, pick your fights. If you can see that there's a team about to push and save, for example, one of the caves, and there's already a fight going on in that cave, it might not be the best idea for you to follow that fight, because there's a good chance that you're end up going to get sandwiched inside that cave and you might end up dying. You need to pick your fights where you know you can win and you know your teammates are going to get involved and help. You don't want to pick a fight where you're going to just take you and your teammates to death. Be smart, pick your fights, make sure they're only the fights that you know you can win. If you dealt a load of damage to somebody, don't push it when you know you can't win that fight, or you know there's a good chance you're about to be third partied. Pick your fights, and that's all it is for tip number 8. Tip number 9, keep calm. The reason why we say keep calm, and I say keep calm, is I find that when I play with randoms, okay, one of my past videos I got very angry, very salty, and I started realizing there's a good chance that these players are very new to the season. There's a good chance that they've just jumped on because it's season 3 and they want to play it, the new game. They want to play the new season, new map and everything like that. If you just get angry, all it does is create negative energy, and then it's just going to make you play worse. If you stay confident and stay calm, there's a good chance you'll be able to play better. I find as well when I play with randoms, I don't actually speak that much like I used to. I use the call out wheel. I just stay calm. I might say a few words here and there, but at the end of the day, I don't know whether they're English. I don't know what language they speak. So I tend now not to speak on the mic unless they actually communicate with me. But just keep calm, play your game. Don't get angry. If they take, for example, they leave you and you do end up not being picked up, just leave the game. Start fresh, start again, because at the end of the day, you're more likely not to get matched up with those guys again. So tip number 9, keep calm. And tip number 10, learn from your past games. Now we say this one is very similar to what I just said about if you say, for example, your teammates in the last game were a bit rubbish and you pushed in and you made a silly mistake because you pushed in and you knew your teammates weren't going to be able to finish the kills that you had just damaged. Learn from your past games. Think to yourself, I need to work out whether these randoms are actually good enough for this engagement, because if I can tell they're not, and they're not going to deal any damage, what is the point in me taking it unless I know I can win it by myself? You need to be using your knowledge of the game. Learn from where you think also drops and whatnot, which drops are good, which drops are bad, and just keep using that knowledge that you've got from past games. Learn from them and take the positives and learn from the negatives. Do not just start taking all the negatives on and having a go and raging, because you won't get anywhere. So learn from your past games is tip number 10. Hopefully those tips have helped you guys. I know there's a lot of other things that I could be mentioning, but those are the top 10 best tips. If they do help you get more wins with randoms, let me know in the comments down below. As I say, make sure you hit the like button, comment down below. Make sure you subscribe, hit the notifications, and you'll never miss a video. Apart from that, guys, I hope you've enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next video.